Hello everybody, this is T with Kate's Crafty Closet, and today we're going to show you this project that I made for the Creative Uncles design team that I am just recently joined, and I will link a description of everything that I use in today's video description box below, and I'll also give you a link to that blog where you can actually enter a project in with the theme wildlife to win a prize next month. So stay tuned for all of that information. So let's kind of go ahead and get ourselves started. So I have here some yellow cardstock, and I am just going to do a top folding A2 size card, which means that's 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. And here we are. We're going to score this at 5 1/2. And I just do it a couple times, flip, get over, butt that up against there just because I hopefully will get a good line up. I can always trim it down later if I need to. All right, so we have that. Let's put that to the side. And the next thing that I went ahead and did is I use this mod rectangle die, which means stitched, and I will, like I said, I do my best to link products in the description box below and offer alternatives if I can't find the one that I technically have here. So we have that. So use that. Die cut that out of a white piece of cardstock, and there we go. And then I went ahead and used that, and I am using an embossing folder from Doris, which is, this one's called House Pattern. I know I have these in the store, so I definitely will link that for you. So I just went ahead and did that. We'll put that off to the side. We don't need that right this second. And then I went ahead, this is a 2-inch punch. If you have a die, that'll work too, out of white cardstock. And I went ahead and ran that through my paper crimper and did that. So we're going to come in with some archival ink from Timholtz and Ranger. This is from the Distress line, and here we go. I have this one I've had for quite some time. You can have the individual ones as well. I'm going to come in with some ink blending. I'm going to grab that vintage photo, and I'm just going to, let me move that out the way, go across this, and I'm going to actually grab some of that ground espresso to do the center part, just to make it a little bit darker. Mostly, it's going to get mostly covered up, so don't stress that out too much. It's going to pretty much get covered up. Okay, well, a lot of it is. And like I said, I'm going to go in with that vintage photo, and I'm just going to go ahead and ink up the edges. You can skip this part if you don't want. You can just have a colored circle, and using your paper crimper, I'm just kind of giving it that woodsy, earthy, wildlife look by adding the browns. Here we got 2 different browns on there, so that kind of helps a little bit. So I'm believe I'm done with that as well. So come in with a foam square, and I'm going to just put it onto the back of this. We're not going to put it on there just yet, but we have that and we have that. I'm going to make a little bow out of some, it's like some natural jute or baker's twine kind of. We're going to do my best to make a bow in one shot. Technically, that usually never happens. See, it usually takes quite a few times. I try to do my best to make these up ahead of time and just have them in a little box. You know, if I have time while I'm sitting there watching TV or YouTube and all of that fun stuff. So like I said, I never get it done on the first try. Sometimes not even the second. Sometimes not even the third time. Okay, we're close. We're close. I don't think I got it. Nope. Almost. So bear with me while we try to get this done. It's like, let's just take a second. I like to leave in here in the videos like mistakes and struggles, so you know that it doesn't come together perfectly every time. See, we missed that one again too. But the big deal is just grab a piece that's bigger. Like, cut it bigger than what you want it to be, because you can always trim it down. So that's the kind of like the key to it all, because you have enough room when you pull that loop and knot that it doesn't get. So I probably should have cut a longer piece than I did. I would love to create a tool that does these for you. You know, that I don't have to struggle with it. Okay, I think we might have this one. What do y'all think? Let me know in the description box below, like, what do you struggle with the most when creating things? It can be anything. Like, obviously this is a struggle for me. More ways than one. Like I said, you can always make it bigger. You can trim it down if you need to. Okay, there we go. Flipped it onto the back. We'll put that to the side because we'll need that. I also went ahead and die cut from this Timholtz these tags. This is the third one in the bunch, and I just went ahead and did that with that one. Okay, and then we're also going to use some of that. I thought I was done with the vintage photo and stuff like that, but we're not. We could go back in it, and we're going to grab that ink again. These come in small cubes as well, and I'm just gonna ink up the edges of this tag. I always put a little bit darker in the corners. I don't know why, I just do. Okay, and continue that. A lot of this will get covered up from the little bird. Okay, so we got that. Sorry for the noise on that one. Perfect, and put that to the side. Next thing that I went ahead and did is, like, I used this 3D impresslet from Timholtz and sizzix. This one is called Leaf, and I used just some lunch bags to cut those leaves out so it's super thin. So I went ahead and did that. So we're going to put that to the side, and next we're going to work on the bird. The bird was using this Dino Wakely media. This one I believe is called Scribbly Birds, and I'm going to use this one right here. You can use whatever one. You can substitute it for any bird in your stash that you may or may not have. So we're going to come in and we're going to stamp this on some watercolor paper, which I already have in my stamping tool, and I'm going to use VersaFine Black Onyx on here, and you just got to make sure that the ink that you use is safe for watercoloring, and 9 times out of 10 it'll tell you on the back of it, waterproof. Okay, so I have that, and I can do it again because remember that watercolor paper has a little bit of tooth to it, and you always want to make sure that the ink is dry before you start watercoloring. Okay, I'm good with that. Because it's watercolor, it's going to be kind of really organic-y looking, and it's all good. Okay, so we're going to come in with some watercolor. This is just your standard inexpensive watercolor from Crayola. I use these a lot in my stash, and I have quite a few sets because I wound up running out of a color and I need more. So what I'm also going to go ahead and do is like These are the retired, unfortunately, but this is, I'm using what I have. You don't want to use a marker, you don't have to. You can just use your watercolor and add a little bit of orange to that to make it darker. But this is just a distress marker. This one's mustard seed. And I'm going to use more of the brush nib. And I'm just going to kind of highlight the areas that have the lines here. And I'm just going to pull in a little bit from the bird's feathers at the bottom, and just to give it a little bit of highlight. And you can do this after the fact too. You don't have to do this before, but since we're going to be adding water, it'll be easier to blend while we're doing that. And I'm just doing it. Like, I don't stress it out. I'm like trying to be perfect with it. Then I'm going to come in with a brush. This is just a brush that came with it, and I'm just going to go ahead in here and just color. And if you don't want to use watercolor because you're not comfortable with it, markers will work. If you don't have watercolor, you can use dye-based ink, because a lot of them out there, especially your Distress, Catherine Pooler, some Hero Arts, and a couple of the brands, or you can watercolor with them. You have reinkers, you can watercolor with your reinkers too. So don't feel like if you don't have it, you need to go out and buy it. But I'll tell you what, this, truth be told, these I use quite a bit. And the thing is, always let this dry before you cranky cut this out. And I'm not gonna bore you to death with cranky cutting on this video, because I do not like to cranky cut. I truthfully do not. And like I said, see how that marker is kind of there, but it's kind of blending out. So don't stress out about that. Don't worry about going outside the lines, because this is going to be trimmed out, cut out. So don't stress that out. So we're done with that. You can always go back after it dries, or dry it with your heat tool if you're impatient. And don't stress that part out. Oh, you know what I forgot to do? Let's color his beak and his feet orange. I forgot to do that. So let's go ahead and do that. And this is just a Timholtz matte, glass matte that I'm using in here. Great thing to use with mediums like this. And I'm not worried about, like I said, worried about going outside those lines. The feet are really kind of hard to color, but that's okay. Anyway, okay. So we have that done. And by the magic of TV, we have it cut out. Yes, you noticed that I threw my best not to cut his feet off, but I did. But that's okay, because we're going to piece it onto that tag anyway, so it's okay. And the other card, actually, I didn't even cut it out. I stamped it out, the bird, and then I put the other one on, pieced it on top of the feet. So the feet technically on that one were not cut out. I'll kind of show you that real quickly. So I just went ahead and stamped the bird on the tag, and just placed the bird, the cutout bird, on top of that. You can do that as well. Okay, but this one, I just went ahead and cut it out. And as I was cutting it out, it came off, and that's okay. All right, so let's go ahead and grab, I don't have my liquid glue close by. It's on the other side of the room. Oh, but I found another one. Normally, I don't use this that much. I'm trying to get rid of this. This one is the Tombow liquid adhesive, just kind of too sticky for me for a card project, but it's great for other media, like mixed media and stuff like that. So I usually use my art glitter glue. So I'm going to do my best. I'm hoping this is not stuck. Okay. So I'm going to put it on a tag as opposed to the bird, because a lot of the bird is going to hang off. And we're going to put the feet on there first. That way we know kind of where we want our bird to be. So there we go. Okay. Works out perfectly, right? And because they have a hole in here, this tag, and I'm not going to put the twine into the hole. I can usually take a piece of this brown paper bag that you have left over when you're cutting. But since I don't have one, I'm just going to take a piece of that leaf, and I'm going to go ahead and just put that on there, just so it kind of makes it easier for me to put the twine bow, or yeah, it's twine bow on here, and it's not like a hole, and you'll see through the card base. So that's why I do that. You can use any kind of piece of paper you want, but that's there and easy. Okay, so the next thing we're going to go ahead and do is going to grab our circle, and we're going to put the glue onto the circle, because then we're going to put our tag onto that. Okay, kind of just get an idea of where you want it, place it, boom, good to go. Okay, then we're going to come in, make sure our stitch side is showing up, and we're going to put our foam square on here, and we're going to say, where do we want to put this? We want to kind of catty corner it like that. Okay, put some adhesive down and put our little twine bow in there, and while we're doing a couple other things, we'll let that kind of stick, grab, and then we'll trim as needed. Okay, boom. Too cute, right? All right, the next thing I went ahead and did is I have my little label maker. This is my Dymo that I just recently bought, and I'll link to this in the description box below. It's awesome, inexpensive, love it. And I just did the sentiment, "You're so tweet." You can put whatever you want on there. I like this one because when you cut, it automatically cuts the top part where you can just peel it off and you don't have to struggle. And if you want to get this on here straight, definitely go with, I should have did this before I put all of that on. Use your T-square ruler to grab onto that. But unfortunately, I didn't wait. And this is definitely not going to go on straight. And the luck about this is, like, I don't press down hard and it won't stick. It'll just kind of sit there. And then once I'm done, I can go ahead in there and just do that. Okay? I like not stressing it out, so I'm just going to press it down. Same thing with the rest of these. So I like these label makers. Like, I remember having one of these as a kid, and it's like, oh, I found one on, upside down. I found one on Amazon. I was like, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and buy it. I had another one, and it just wasn't really, it was kind of small, and it wasn't doing the trick. And if you have tweezers, I would definitely go in and use those. Mine always wind up everywhere. That's because I have these little chunky fingers that it's hard for me to see, you know, placing this. But this will make life a little bit easier. You always want some reverse tweezers in your stash to help with this. And then I can just push it up. Here's another thing I struggle with, is lining stuff up. Like my cards, 99.9% of the time are about as wonky as it comes. And I like that because I just say that's my signature, right? All right. I was trying to go for not having a space in between that, but I'm not going to stress that out. Okay, and then we're going to put the tweet down here. And like I said, if you want to do a stamped sentiment, you can do that too. All right, so I'm good. I'm happy with that. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to grab some of those leaves, and we're going to put that underneath that circle. It'll only going to go a certain distance because we have that foam square there. Okay. I'm looking for the smaller one, but I don't have it. But I have this one that's kind of ripped in half. And I am kind of okay with that because it'll be hidden underneath there. Unless oh, there's a small one. We'll grab a small one. Easier. Okay. And you can ink up the edges of those leaves if you want to, but this is just, it's a little help. There we go. So that is that part. And we're looking at our, close this glue up before it dries up and clogs up on me because it's not very friendly. And this is usually the scissors I use for cranky cutting. I like it because it doesn't hurt my inside of my fingers here. So just has a little grip on it. And that's what I usually use to cranky cut. And yeah, I don't call it fussy cutting. I call it cranky cutting because it really does make me cranky when I'm cutting images down. Okay, there we go. I'm happy with that one. All right, and then I'm going to put some foam squares onto the back, and I am very generous with my foam squares. These are super inexpensive that I pick up at the Dollar Tree whenever I see these because they're big and they cover up a lot of space. And like I said, they're only $1. And like I said, I have a huge stash of them. And like I said, I've tested it theory out in the mail that if you don't put it enough on there, it will make this paper, once you put it onto the card base, buckle and look crazy. And I don't want to do that. But, you know, so the recipient gets it as I intended it. Okay. Almost done. And then, boom, there we go. We have all of that. And I'm not going to try to line this up because I usually use my liquid glue to put on here. I like the little mod part of this where it's circular on those edges so you get to see that cardstock come through at the bottom. So I want to thank you all for joining me today. Like I said, I'll link the blog post where you can enter your projects. All you have to do is enter a link into the blog post where your project can be located. And like I said, you'll be entered into, it's a random.org who picks the winner based on how many entries were put into the giveaway and the challenge. Like I said, Challenges Wildlife. Make sure you check out the store at katescraftycloset.com. Use coupon code SAVE5 to save $5 off of your order of $25 or more. And I want to thank you all for joining me and have a crafty day, y'all. I just wanted to interject that I went ahead and I forgot that I put the wrong sentiment. I put the wrong your on there because I did put it correctly on the first one. I just wanted to show you all that. I wanted to make that correction because I know if I didn't, I would get clocked in the comments section below. So I went ahead and made a different one. See, mistakes happen, and I'm okay with leaving it in because I could have reshot that video and all that. But there you go. It's all proper and good to go. So thank you again, and have a great day.